Good morning. It's Laura from McNeely Garden Studios coming to you on a pretty chilly morning. I know that my friends up north are ready to throw in the towel. It has been a brutal winter, and it's been very uncomfortable for us too. It's 19 here today, and we're just not used to that. So I totally understand. And I had several things to choose from today for our live, and I thought, I'm not going to paint a wintry scene. I'm just not going to do it because everyone is sick and tired and over it. And then this morning I woke up and I thought, I do have an idea, and I'm going to paint a wintry scene. So I'm going to show you some watercolor tricks with winter scenes, and I have a recipe for you that I think that you're really going to have fun with. And I have not tried it, but I'm going to try it this afternoon. So I'm going to get together with the little people in my family, and we're going to try this experiment, but I will give you that recipe at the end. Okay, so I thought that I'm going to turn you down to my table, and I'm going to show you some things about taping stuff off that you might not have thought about. And I see people here. Let me see if I can see who you are. Good morning. Mary loves John. Hello. I'm glad to have you. Hey, Jamie. Good morning. So I'm going to turn you down to my table. And here we go. I got my fireplace on. I just love that. So here we go. I figured I really have been wanting to paint a wintry scene with you guys, but I thought, if I don't do it today, next week is going to be, maybe not next week, but pretty soon it's going to be Groundhog's Day, and then it's going to be Valentine's Day, and then it's going to be, and then we're not going to be wanting to do this. So today's probably the last day. So we're going to be working in my sketchbook today. I have been practicing a good bit in my sketchbook. You saw where I was doing some strokes there, and we've got some muted colors. This is kind of where I practice some things that come to you later. It may not actually be that design, but it's the thought process that goes along with it. So what I'm going to do is, this is just a plastic cutting board, like you guys know that I use all the time, that I cut in half because I wanted one for each side so that I don't end up getting paint on the edges of my pages. I don't know. I'm tidy that way. I like things to look neat. So I usually start with the center of my book, and then I just fold this in half so that I know exactly where to put the tape on the center of the book. And if you don't know, it's better to not get water into the fold of your book. It just kind of goes into the binding, and it can cause problems over time. So I fold that there, and then I put it right down in the fold of the book. And then you get an exact thing on either side, an exact border on either side. And I'm going to go ahead and tape this whole thing off, although I think we're only going to paint one side today. So tell me if you have snow, how much snow, what the temperature is, if you have power, how you feel about it. And who's ready for a pina colada on the beach, right? This is about the time of year that I'm just about, I know yesterday we just kind of didn't do anything. And honestly, by the end of the day, I was so tired of just being, I had cabin fever. That's what I had. I had cabin fever. And tell me if you have cabin fever. And what you do about it. What do you do about it? I mean, I had already made soup. We'd already rested. We'd already done our little chores. I mean, it was just like, we just got bored. And that is not a word that happens around here very often. Well, we're going to start over with that one. Sometimes if you don't get it on the first try, then you have to start over. But yeah, tell me how you cope with winter. You know, I'm a native South Floridian, so even though I've been in Central Georgia for many years, somehow your roots just stay with you no matter what. I mean, I get really uncomfortably cold. When other people are just fine, you know, they're just fine. They look at me like I'm crazy. So tell me what you do. Here we go. My parents' wedding anniversary was Groundhog's Day. And so I remember, I always look forward to Groundhog's Day. And of course, the big joke with Groundhog's Day is it's either 6 weeks or a month and a half until spring. People act like, oh, it's going to be an early spring. Let me tell you, I don't know. It's like, it's just an illusion. I'm going to lead you. I'm going to put you up a little bit so you have more space to see. Is that better? Good. Let me see in the comments. Hey, Donna. Donna's saying good morning to Mary. That's awesome. All right. Well, good morning. So, we're going to start, I believe we're going to do this page, and then we'll do the other page. So, I've got my really big brush, and I'm going to start getting this wet. I didn't experiment as part of my cabin fever. I did an experiment where I was reading that you can stretch watercolor paper. And this lady stretched solid cotton, 100% cotton watercolor paper. And I did not have any, but I used my regular 140 pounds. And I get the theory. She wet it for 5 minutes in the sink, and when it doubled over on itself and stayed, then it was wet enough. And then she put it on a board, pinned it to a board, let it dry. I did that, and I got mild success. And I think it's because of the material. I didn't have the cotton paper. If you're a scientist, you understand that there's scientific theory, right? You have to do things in a certain way, and you can't have too many variables changing at the same time. And you can't change too many. You have to have a control, right? So my control was not what she suggested. All right, so there's also sizing on this paper, and you want to kind of lift that a little bit. And I think this could use just a little bit more water. You don't want it to have enough to where it just buckles, but there we go. Because that certainly is what makes it warp. But the nature of watercolor is going to warp. So we're going to use some blues, maybe some violets. I mean, look at this. When I was doing my my little study over here, we got some beautiful colors going on here, and I like that. I think that's kind of very wintry looking. I like that purple. This blue is going to be pretty dark. Let me change. Let me get this blue. That's pretty. And then we have like this magenta here, I think. This one's it. There we go. Now, if that doesn't bring you out of a gloomy day, I don't know what will. It doesn't have to be just gloomy and gray, although I do paint some gray scale stuff sometimes. All right. I feel like I can't get organized today. All right, so we're going to have more color sort of on this corner, and we're gonna let it fade into this area like the light is coming from this area. So it's going to be brighter and lighter. I do have some kosher salt. I thought perhaps we could try it. Excuse me, try some of that. I am developing a little bit of a cough, so sorry. So I'm gonna start over here, and I'm just gonna kind of give us a little snowdrift, okay? We're just gonna kind of start here. You notice that I am holding the end of my brush. It gives kind of a little wonkier look there. I'm gonna put some blue in here. And we're gonna kind of just lay this color down. I do want it to be a little more blue as we come up. So I'm gonna add some blue in here. And you notice because the background is wet, it's beginning to mix and blend in there. And of course, you know that is my absolute favorite. Okay. And then I'm gonna wash my brush off, and I'm gonna start moving this color around. Because I don't really want white spots, but I also don't want a bloom. I don't want a backwash of color. And that's exactly what's gonna happen here. It will begin to dry in other places before it dries there. So it'll give it a strange look, is what I'm saying. Now, I'm just gonna add a little water, and we're gonna kind of let this color that we've got here run. It's gonna start running into the page. And you see that I've got it kind of tilted. Oh. Now, it's starting to run this way, and I don't really want that. Because that's not, that suggests like a snowstorm or something. And I don't mind it really pulling right on this edge a little bit. I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. And that's what I love about watercolor. It's alive. It really, you have to have a relationship with it. I'm gonna, can you believe I did that? I'm gonna add a little bit more here. So I'm cleaning off the tape because I don't want that to pool in my beautiful light colors. It's starting to pool a little bit right here. So I've got a dry brush, and I'm just gonna kind of pick it up a little bit. But you can just keep working with it. Now I'm gonna sneeze. Pardon me. That's winter for you. Okay. So I'm just kind of letting this move. Let me see if anybody's got any any comments. I know that there's a frozen north. I don't think Donna's having any frozen weather. I see where she's golfing and stuff. All right. So this is starting to get a little drier, and it's starting to not move quite as much. I am going to take this big wide brush here and soak up some of this almost pure white. We don't want a hard edge, but I can see where it's still moving some, and you probably can't see that because I'm looking at it at an angle from this light. And this is kosher salt, just regular kosher salt from your kitchen. And it's really coarse. You see how big and heavy that is? And what the salt does is it sucks up the pigment, and it leaves it looking really cold, like snow. You can put as much or as little as you want on here. There we go. All right. Still wanting to move a little bit. So while that's beginning to dry, I'm going to tell you the really fun and exciting recipe that I'm going to try a little later today. How many of you, I'm going to turn you back up here for a moment. How many of you find these really cool recipes on social media or wherever? Do you ever try them? I'm the queen of screen capture, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm going to try that. And I screen capture, and then it gets lost in my 50,000 photos on my camera roll. But I've gotten now where I'm a little bit more intentional about it. And even though if I save it, however I save it, I send it to my daughter or I send it to myself somehow. You can do email, even messenger, or text it to yourself, whatever. And I think that makes it a little more personal, a little more, it just doesn't get lost in the feed, right? So I found this really interesting thing that I have been wanting to do for a long time. And you know, I'm a photographer too, so we don't get these extreme cold very often, and when we do, it doesn't stay. So I have seen this happen. Other people have done it in colder weather, and I was really jealous. I was never able to do it. So now I have the recipe, now I have the weather, and this is what we're gonna do. The recipe is for frozen bubbles. Of course, the atmosphere has to be cold enough to create this, and it has to freeze almost on contact. So the recipe for these frozen bubbles, and I have some of the things here. We went out to breakfast, and I thought, oh, there's a straw. I have to have a straw, so I brought it home. But you take 1 cup of water, 1 cup of corn syrup, which I'm going to have to get because it got used in peanut brittle at Christmas. 2 tablespoons, 1 cup of water, 1 tablespoon of corn syrup, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of glycerin, which you can find in the skin aisle. You can use glycerin for a lot of things. And glycerin's what makes snow in a snow globe move really slowly. So, and 3 tablespoons of dish soap. I will get this together for you, and I'll post it for you if you're interested in doing that. But I was really excited. It was something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I've never had all the right stuff at the right place at the right time. So, all right. So I'll get that together, and I'll share it with you a little bit later. I'm going to turn you back down here so we can carry on with our project for today. Let's see. Okay. So you see what the salt did, and I'm going to turn my heat tool on here a little bit and just dry it up just a little bit. And I'm going to stay really far away because I don't want that salt to move. You want it to stay exactly where it is until it's really, really dry. Otherwise, it kind of smudges it. Okay, and when your salt starts to kind of move around, then it's usually dry enough. So we're gonna put a few trees in here. We've got some natural elements going on, but we're gonna put in a few trees. And I'm gonna be using black acrylic ink for this. And you really kind of don't want to shake it because you don't want a lot of bubbles, but I do kind of, it's like nail polish, you kind of want to roll it. You get all the pigment reincorporated into the liquid. All right. My rubber stopper is stuck. And that's one thing. Did you notice I wasn't doing it over my art? I was doing it over this styrofoam plate that I have. Because if you had an accident, if you poured it or it spilt or it splattered, then it would be directly right in the middle of your book, of your artwork, which happens to be in a book for me today. So I try not to open things over my art. So I'm going to put that off to the side. And there's there's lots of ways that you can do this. Of course, one way is a liner brush, which I like a really long bristled liner brush because it gives you a lot of leeway. When you're bending it, you can really kind of do a lot with it. We're not going to do this. I don't like to really do trees with it so much. You need something that is long, and you kind of, again, we're going to use this from the very end of whatever it is. So this is a stick from outside. This is a skewer that has been used many times. You can tell it's black on the end. And this is a chopstick, which I didn't realize had resin on it, but honestly, it'll work just as well. So we're going to dip this in, and we're just going to start making our trees. however we, however we want here. Okay, it doesn't matter if it looks wonky. You can add some water to it if you want it to be a little bit more fluid. All right. So that's the stick. Let's try this skewer. It kind of makes a little bit lighter, a little bit more fine lines. So you can use that to your advantage. And of course, the chopstick makes an even thicker line. I'm just going to fill that in a little bit. And it doesn't, you have to fill it all the way in, because that kind of gives it a natural highlight. Like light is shining on that branch, I ran over a piece of salt. And you just work with it until you get something that looks like you want. And I think we're gonna make more than one. This could be more like a bush. And maybe, I was gonna say maybe next week we'll do more, but we're not. We're gonna start working on color. In my membership, Art and Answers, we're gonna be working on color as an expression, and I'm gonna be teaching you what it means and how to get different feelings out of your color. So I will have to be finishing this other page probably on another day. What would you like to see on the other page? Tell me. I'm just gonna keep putting these other little branches off. I'm gonna go back to my stick. I kind of like the way it, I don't know, it's like, maybe it's in my mindset or something, but it seems like it gives it a wonkier, more natural, maybe it's having a kinship with itself. And this was like a to-go plate, the styrofoam thing. So, I mean, I don't look at anything as trash. My poor husband, he's like, is this trash or is this art supplies? And sometimes I have to say, oh, I have enough art supplies. So, but it's nice of him to think of me that way. All right, I'm gonna put a little more vegetation down here toward the bottom, and there we go. So, you let me know in the comments what you think I should put over here on this other side. And when this gets completely dry, and the salt is completely dry, then I'll brush all that off, and then I'll come back and put some snow in. And I'll probably be using this Dr. Martin's bleed proof white. I'm really liking this. It is very, let me get over here, that's not on top of my artwork, and open it. And it's really thick. So you do need to kind of water this down a little bit, and it depends on what you're going to use it for. If you're going to dot this on, you can use it thicker. If you want to splatter it on, like I like to use this liner brush that I was showing you earlier, for really tiny dots, then because it has a longer bristles, then it kind of flicks easier, but it needs to be very fluid. So I'm gonna pull you back up here. So tell me, are you gonna paint a snowy scene? Is it too nasty at your house? Or is it nice? So don't forget the frozen bubble recipe. I'm gonna get that out there to you, and I'm really excited to try it. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate your support and letting me do what I love, and I love being with you. So I'm Laura from McNeely Garden Studios, Tuesday at 10. I'll see you soon. Stay warm. Bye.